We're here at Creek Campground here in Mount Hood National Forest. Let's go check out the campsites. Here's campsite 3. Some great old growth forest, great shade. And you got your driveway, your picnic table, and your fire pit. This is an inner site, somewhat close to the road. Let's continue along. Here is our bathroom and our garbage. Here's campsite 4. Got a long driveway. And let's go take a look. Got your fire pit, you got your picnic table. This is another inner site. This isn't on Camp Creek side. Beautiful little section of old growth forest and massive trees, good shade. There's a big tree, big feature of your campsite. This is an inner site. Probably wouldn't pick this one personally. Okay, so here is campsite 5. You can see 6 is to the left of it. Get a nice big driveway. You got a picnic table in the fire pit. The sun peeking through. So I'm not as big of a fan of these inners. I will say this is pretty darn high quality though. I'm impressed by this. Just the grandiose feel of this area. Feels really well spaced and thought out. A little path here to your picnic table and your fire pit. Again, you got the sun peeking through this old growth wonderland zone. So epic forest, epic area. Clearly you put your tent straight ahead there. Not the biggest campsite, but it does have kind of a well-curated, high-quality feel. So even though I'm kind of biased against the inners versus the outers because I want to be next to the feature of why you're there, I would say that even the inners here are pretty impressive. I mean, I haven't seen a total junk campsite here yet. So from campsite 5, you do have a access point down to Camp Creek. Let's go down and take a look. So yeah, this gives you some direct access. This is a little bit of a shoreline trail, but it's kind of a side game trail to campsites 9 and 8 that way, so I probably wouldn't take those. It gives you a direct access. This is pretty. I wouldn't say this is the best section of Camp Creek. Personally, I would say that campsites 8, 9, and 10 have better sections, but this does give you access from campsite 5. Probably wouldn't pick this one because I'd rather be next to Camp Creek, but I mean, the worst campsites here are still better than some of the medium or better campsites in a lot of other places. So overall, I'm getting a pretty impressed vibe from Camp Creek Campground. Here's 6. Same exact explanation as 5. Well spaced. It's an inner, but it's a beautiful swath of old growth forest. So, you know, you could do much worse in the Mount Hood National Forest area or really in any campground area. So you got your picnic table, you got your fire pit, probably put your tent straight ahead to the right of this tree. So again, an inner, I'd rather be next to the creek, but still high quality. Here's campsite 7. You got your driveway, picnic table, fire pit. Again, a high quality swath of forest. Looks like there's a little trail up above that area. It's an inner, it's on the opposite side of the creek, but still high quality. Here is campsite number 8. This is on the feature side, on Camp Creek side, so that's good. Nice big driveway, that's great. Not big enough for really anything. You got your picnic table, you got your fire pit. Probably put your tent over there. A couple different places, depending on how close you want to be to your fire, but probably the area you'd put your tent. And let's come down here and take a look at Camp Creek. Bring your chairs, your Cabela's chairs, whatever you got down here, and look at that. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. That is like a picturesque little waterfall cascade spot. That is very beautiful, and that is literally right here at your campsite, so that's pretty epic. 8 is legit, right up against Camp Creek. Let's continue over here. Looks like a little bit of path. Maybe that's a path over to 9. I'm not sure, kind of a shoreline path. But here's your swath of Camp Creek. This is your domain, your dominion. if you book campsite 8. I gotta say, let me pan back around. This is gorgeous. Look at these old growth forest trees. Epic and massive, incredible shade during summer. So this is a great July, August play if it's 80, 90, 100 degrees. And then you got Camp Creek down here. This is pretty epic, I gotta say. It's my first time at Camp Creek, reviewing all the sites, and I'm actually blown away so far. Camp Creek is higher quality than I was candidly expecting. I don't think Camp Creek is going to have a bad campsite. Maybe a few, but pretty high quality spacing. Pretty impressed. Okay, so this is Still Creek Trail, day use area. Gorgeous bridge, look at that. That is legit. And I'll show you, this is a little parking, probably only enough for 2 or 3 cars, probably 2. Let's continue along. Here is Still Creek Trail. So one of the other benefits of camping here is you get access to a world-class trail. Look at this. You got a bridge, and I'm sure we're gonna have some money shots. Oh my gosh, look at that. I am a sucker for these long shots of a river or a creek, in this case a creek. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Continue to hike across Still Creek Bridge and getting some pretty epic views. It's got that old growth forest, rainforesty kind of vibe to it. Kind of feels like a wonderland zone. You got this pretty high quality little mini waterfall down below. This is pretty gorgeous. Right across there, that is campsite 8. I think one of definitely a top 5. I'll do a rating at the end of my favorite campsites, as well as a separate video just listing off the top 5. But I'm pretty confident 8 will be on that list. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful this is. As we continue to hike along, so getting beautiful views of Camp Creek. Can't stop looking at Camp Creek. And we get to the other side of the bridge. It says Still Creek Trail, number 780. Not that that means anything to us. So it goes that way, but obviously the arrow is pointing this way. So this is the main trail for Still Creek. And it looks like it takes you through a beautiful section of old growth national forest here in Mount Hood. This is kind of the opposite side of the campground. The campground's on that side of the creek. And this is a trail on the parallel side, the opposite side. So pretty cool. Also, you come down here, go down to Shoreline. Take this. These be gentle spider webs. And that's pretty gorgeous. Loving the sun, just peeking through this old growth forest wonderland. This Camp Creek Campground really has a bit of a rainforest feel, which I'm digging. Very green and luscious. And just the air is a little wet from the creek and from this old growth forest. It's got a humid feel, hence all the moss. Even though 9 is right next to 10, let me show you, here's 10, here's 9. Because of the spacing and a good chunk of old growth forest between you, it really feels well spaced out. So this, again, this is 9. Got a nice long driveway, some cool logs, picnic table. This is right up against our feature Camp Creek as well. There's your fire pit. Great spot for the fire pit as far as proximity to Camp Creek. You get a straight shot of Camp Creek right from your fire pit. Imagine sitting here, maybe having some s'mores and looking up and admiring Camp Creek. I'm digging it. I also like the feature of this log. Gives you kind of an area you can sit, at a good height, or just kind of lay out your gear. Kind of a cool area. Love that sun peeking through the old growth forest. So right there is 10. So there's a little bit of visibility to 10. It's not perfectly separated, although this section of forest between 10 and 9 is pretty good as far as giving the feeling of, you know, spacing and privacy. Let's continue over here to our actual shoreline access for campsite 9. I'm digging it. You got some white rips. You got this little area to come down here. You got a zen feeling down here. Look at this. This is very cool. For some reason it's giving me a zen garden vibe. I love the iridescent mossy green rocks. These little cascading waterfalls, very beautiful. Let's continue along. So we leave campsite 9. Remember, this is a couple weeks before the start of the season, so it wouldn't be this disheveled. I'm loving the sun just peeking through this old growth forest. This is pretty gorgeous. Here is campsite number 10. I'll show you 9's right next to us here. You got a nice long driveway for parking. Oh, this is a great one. You got your fire pit, your picnic table. I will also point out you've got a water pump there and the restrooms either side of this stump. So you've got all the amenities in your close proximity. Again, there's the picnic table, fire pit. This is a pretty massive area. You got a lot of choices where you want to put your tent. A lot of really high quality flat forest. I think the piece de resistance is what's going to be on the edge of this little precipice here. Yes, indeed. The beautiful Camp Creek. There's a reason why this is called Camp Creek Campground, and this, my friend, is Ed. Look at that. Crystal clear water, picturesque old growth forest with iridescent mossy green on the rocks. My gosh, this is really beautiful. It's got that rainforest vibe. I'm digging it. So I gotta say, this campsite right here, site 10, is pretty awesome. I'm pretty blown away. A huge area. It feels nice and expansive. I mean, look at all of this. This is pretty awesome. Pretty epic. It's like there's probably multiple vantage points. You can go down there and put your chairs, or you can put your chairs up here. Do want to exercise caution because that's a pretty steep little drop there. It's not too crazy, but you just got to be careful, particularly at night. That can be very dangerous. But look at that. Ain't it beautiful? Camp Creek. And if you just keep coming down here, this is still on the edge of site 10. My gosh, this is just getting more and more beautiful the more I come over here. Look at that. That's pretty gorgeous. And look at that. That is epic right there. That's a like little unmarked, unnamed waterfall right on the edge of campsite 10. I'm gonna say I am pretty blown away by campsite 10. I mean, look at what you get. Right over there is campsite 10. This is kind of the extended forest of campsite 10. So campsite 10 is legit at Camp Creek. I am digging it. So let's hike back to campsite 10. It's just, you can already see your picnic table right here. So this is just the edge of campsite 10. And that's a pretty epic money shot zone. Beautiful Camp Creek. So still doing my review, but so far Camp 10 is my favorite. But I still have a lot of campsites to go, but I think this is going to end up being in the top tier. A top 5 pick. So let's continue along. It's amazing the difference between an outer and inner site. Like this is an outer site, it's up against the feature. Here's campsite 11. You got your picnic table, you got your fire pit. Pretty basic right here on the Forest Road. Here's a little section of Camp Creek. Going through our campground. Very beautiful. And here is site 12. You've got this little babbling creek on the other side of you. It's pretty, but I would also argue that that sometimes can be a mosquito bug draw, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. And here is the site. You got 2 picnic tables, and you got your fire pit right here. Again, you're right up against this babbling creek. I don't like this as much as 8, 9, and 10 on the other side. Camp Creek's divided into 2 arms. One arm is like 3 to 11, and the other arm is 12 to 25. This is the beginning of the 12 to 25 side. This side so far doesn't have as good of Camp Creek views. I would rather be at 8, 9, or 10 than I would at this one. Candidly, this one's pretty open because you got the main road right here. And I don't think that section of the creek is as high quality. So I probably wouldn't do 12, but again, I'm blown away. I don't think there's a single site here that really sucks. I mean, these are all gorgeous in a world-class rainforest style old growth forest. Here's 13. So you got a lot of road access here. Nice big driveway for your vehicle. And then there's 13. Picnic table, fire pit behind the picnic table. I don't know if you put your tent right here, which is kind of a little close to the road. I'd rather be offset. So maybe there's flat area back here. Almost feels like there's going to be a designed area back up against the creek. Let's walk through this. Thank you, no spider webs. And if I took 13, I would actually probably come down here and put my tent right there. And then you kind of have a really cool little, the sound of the creek going by. Again, you got to be careful in the middle of the night. You don't accidentally walk into the creek. And then you look back and this is your path to your picnic table. The only other choice would be to put your tent right in front of the picnic table, which is a little awkward because you're then right next to your car. That's really not, and you're next to the bathroom. You help people go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So that's a little suboptimal. I wouldn't do that. So you can come down here a little bit more so you do have direct access to the creek. And look at that. That is gorgeous. This is the view from spot 13. Imagine if you put your tent right here. This is the annual winterfall. Let's say this gets cleaned up. It's a large flat area. You put your tent right here, and you got the view of the creek that way, and probably obviously the most impressive section of the creek right here down below. Even you can walk down and refill your life boat straw if that's what you got. I gotta say, Site 13 is pretty interesting. And let's hike back from Shoreline of Creekside. And we're walking back to picnic table and the fire pit for Site 13. Site 13 is an interesting play. If you go put your tent down there up against the creek, it could actually be pretty darn epic. And then, you can hang out here and then go sleep next to the creek. I'm feeling it. I think 13 is interesting. Hello there, gorgeous sun. And I think we got our next one here, 14. You got your driveway. Kind of interesting, you got 2 ways up. A little bit of a Swiss Family Robinson vibe. Come up here, and look at that. I'm pretty impressed at 14, this is cool. Yeah, you got to carry your gear up here, but totally worth it. You got your fire pit, your picnic table, and kind of being off up above against the road. 14 is pretty awesome. I'm impressed. It's only almost too many different directions to know which way to go. So let's say we come down here, see our creek access. Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, I'm digging it. Camp Creek has a lot of these little waterfalls, which are really high quality. So look at that one right there. You can go right down to the water, and the shoreline even continues on. Do a little shoreline trail. only accessible by campsite 14. If we keep coming down here, yeah, gives you another little section of the creek. And straight ahead there, let's see here if there's any spider webs. And coming out here, here's another perch vantage point from site 14. And look down on your domain, your campsite 14. Enjoy the beauty of Camp Creek. So I think this is interesting. I'm loving how this is elevated above the road. I'm loving the access to Camp Creek, but I will say it's a little odd. You do have another campsite over there, which I think is accessible from a trail on the other side of that picnic table. So you do have a direct line of sight from that camp picnic table to this camp picnic table. So that's a little suboptimal. That I think notches it down a little bit. Again, you've got this incredible swath of creek to yourself. This is your side access to the creek. It's a beautiful area. It's just a little odd for some reason. They put up both these up here together, and they didn't really worry about breaking the line of sight. Maybe this is a great group play. I'll come up with my top group play recommendations for this campsite, and these two very well might be one of them. So just something to note, that you're elevated above the road, which is awesome. And I'll go back down to where you park down here. A couple little stone-ish stairs. So you're parked down here, and you also have another access point over there, which is to the same area. So they give you two little side trails up to where your picnic table is, but then there is another campsite there. So 14 is interesting. I'm really blown away. Gosh, look at that. The sun with these trees. This is a gorgeous area. I gotta say, I'm falling in love with Camp Creek. I think it's pretty awesome. Here is site 15. We've got our driveway. This is a little confusing and misleading. See this picnic table and fire pit? These are actually for 16, which is the site to the left of you. So that is not your area. This is your area, which is actually better for 15. So I'd rather be over here than the one we just went by. So that makes 15 better, maybe 16 a little worse. So you come out here, you got a picnic table, you got a fire pit, right up against the creek. If you can see on the other side of that tree right there, that is a picnic table, that is 14. So you do have a slight line of sight with 14. Come over here, you can put your chairs, whatever you got, Cabela's, and come over here and just kind of overlook this beautiful swath of Camp Creek. I would be very careful because this is pretty steep, and I would only try climbing down there if you're an able-bodied person. You can hurt yourself pretty easily. I actually do think, as far as just the beauty of the creek, this is probably your best view right here. Look at that. That is pretty gorgeous, particularly with the sun coming off of it. It's morning and pretty effervescent glow, the glisten on Camp Creek. So I'm digging this. So this is site 15. Gorgeous zone. As far as lot lines, remember you got 14 right there, so that's a little bit of a privacy ding. Not horrible, but not ideal. Maybe sets up 14 and 15 is a great group play, probably a top group play here, but I'll keep looking. Again, remember, this is kind of weird. You'll walk by this one, you park next to this, and this is 16. So think about how odd this kind of is. This is a weird design. 16's picnic table, 16's fire pit, literally sitting next to 15's car. So I think 15 is pretty awesome, but I think 16 kind of got shafted, because I wouldn't want to be sitting at a picnic table 8 feet away from another person's car. That's a little weird. Give you that I'm camping in a Walmart parking lot feel. So to me, that rules out 16, but let's go take a look at 16. So here's 16. We've got our driveway, nice long driveway. Park here for 16, and then you walk straight ahead to your fire pit and your picnic table. I would definitely not do 16. Again, there's the parking for 15, so you are literally at a picnic table 8 feet away from somebody else's car. If they're coming back to their car to get stuff a lot, then it's very disruptive. So I would pan 16. It's cool that it's up here against Camp Creek. I mean, this is a gorgeous section of Camp Creek, but I think the privacy lines for the picnic table are so awful that that's a deal breaker. So 16's got a gorgeous section of Camp Creek, but I probably wouldn't do it because, well, I definitely wouldn't do it because of that weird parking alignment. Let's continue along. So we're going across to 17, which is an inner. Already it's not on the Camp Creek side we just walked from. Why would you want to be at 17 when you could be at one of the plethora up against the creek? So here's the numerology. Here's your parking. Again, remember, this is disheveled because it's before the start of the season. This will all be cleared out prior to the start of the season. So tornado didn't just come through here. This is just the annual winter fall. And here's your picnic table and fire pit. Not a fan of 17. I wouldn't do 17, candidly. 17's no bueno in my humble opinion. I think it's just self-evident. You all would rather be a outer site against the feature, in this case Camp Creek, over an inner one where you're just kind of fishbowled. So to me, that's just kind of self-evident. And 18, this is going to be up against our feature. You got your nice, large, wide driveway, picnic table and fire pit. Some really old growth, massive forest trees. Look at this. Really has a mossy rainforest vibe, which I'm loving. And let's come down here. Got a beautiful section of Camp Creek. Don't have like a direct money shot view of it. Let's see if you do over here. So now I'm getting pretty picky, but you don't have a direct money shot view from your site of the creek, although the creek is beautiful. Some of the other ones have a direct money shot where you're like right overlooking it with no obscurities. But again, I'm getting pretty granular, pretty picky at this point. This campground is such an embarrassment of riches that you get to be that picky. So I would say 18, the view from the camp site itself isn't as high quality as some of the other ones. But if you come down here, which I will do, it's like this is a bit of a side trail, connects up actually with 16. So shared side trail with 16. You come down here, and look at this. You could bring your chairs down here. That wouldn't be inappropriate. You're at 18, kind of the extension of your dominion. And look at this. See, now this is beautiful. Now this is a money shot. So I'd say 18 doesn't have a money shot per se from its actual picnic table fire pit like campground proper. But if you want to come down this little section with some chairs and sit down here, this is pretty magical. This is probably one of the nicest areas of the whole campground. Pan up here. I mean, look at how beautiful this is. You got the sun peeking through these trees, and then you have this incredible Camp Creek listening, crystal clear water meandering down the stream. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. So bring some Cabela's chairs down here and cop a squat, bring a book, do whatever you gotta do, bring a Kindle, do some reading, and pretty epic Wonderland zone to kind of hang out in, very zen and relaxing. Imagine coming right here, putting your chairs and looking up. And this is a pretty magical area. I think this is one of the highest qualities area of this entire campground, kind of between 16 and 18. I don't like 16 because your picnic table is like 8 feet away from the parking at site 15. So for me, that's a deal breaker. So if I'm picking between 16 and 18, I would pick 18 and just walk down here, and we'll walk back to the site from here. So you see it's nothing too crazy, just a few steps and pretty much back. See the picnic table. So I'm digging 18. Particularly for that spot, I think is key. If you can go down there with some chairs and relax, you're kind of perhaps at the highest quality viewing spot of the entire campground, right on the edge of 18, between 18 and 16. As I said, though, I don't like 16 because its picnic table is like 8 feet away from the parking at 15, and I think that's going to be a deal breaker. So I'd pick 18 out of those two. Okay, here's 19. You got your parking, nice big wide parking. This is a double. I looked it up at recreation.gov, so I'm sure. Got 2 picnic tables. You got a fire pit. Of course, pardon the disheveled-ness, it's not open for business yet. We're pre-season. And good news is you're kind of right on the edge of the campground. So this is an outer. Here's a path to overlook Camp Creek, which is the feature of this campground. And kind of a couple of little trails, figuring out as I go the best path. And a little bit of a trail network over here. So see, it goes that way too. Okay, so from campsite 19, which is a doubler on the edge of the campground, you kind of want to come over this direction. There's a network of trails kind of behind you, but they don't really go anywhere. They just kind of go through the old growth forest. If you're trying to get over the creek, presumably, which really probably would be your main objective, you come over here, you at least have a lookout zone. You can bring some chairs over here. It's like, ooh, actually there is a trail all the way down to Shoreline. So you can go down there and sit, and that's pretty beautiful. Or you can be up here. So, oh, I gotta look at that. Look at that sun. Kind of glowing through, making that moss glow here at this old growth forest. This is rainforest-esque. So from site 19, you can still see the picnic tables. You kind of go across to this area, and now this is probably your best access point to Camp Creek, presuming you want to take some chairs and a book. And there's your seating area. I'd put some chairs there. You can look down on beautiful Camp Creek. Here is campsite 20. It's an inner. You've got your long parking, picnic table, and fire pit. I'm not going to walk too far into this one. I probably wouldn't do this. Well, I definitely wouldn't do this one. It's an inner. It's not up against the creek. There's so many high-quality campsites here that are right up against the creek. Like, this is a beautiful area. This seems like one of the lower quality ones, candidly. So I wouldn't do 20. Why be in an inner when you can be in an outer up against your feature of Camp Creek? Here's 21. This is a double. Looked it up at recreation.gov, confirmed. You got 2 picnic tables and a fire pit. Nice big driveway, big enough for a couple vehicles. You got more road noise because we're getting close to the road here, where this part of the loop is heading back towards the turnoff. So unfortunately, we're getting farther from the creek and closer to the road. Bad in both aspects. So here's your picnic tables and your fire pit right here. So, I mean, this forest is beautiful. I don't mean to be too negative. I mean, look at that sun peeking through the old growth, incredible wonderland zone. So, beautiful forest, but you're away from the creek, and you're getting more road noise because you're closer to the highway. Here is site 22. It's an inner, and the loop heading back towards the campground. It is not up against the creek. It's a beautiful forest, though. I mean, I'll capture that sun peeking through this old growth forest wonderland. And this is just beautiful. It's luscious green. And overwhelmed by the sensory overload of this area. Got a couple picnic tables, fire pit. So pretty high quality. I believe this is a single from my research at recreation.gov, but the 2 picnic tables might mean it's double. I don't know, but I think it's a single. But gorgeous area. This is part of the loop that's heading back towards the turnoff, so you could get more highway noise on this side and you're not against the creek. You can hear it in the distance, but it's over there a bit on the other side of the forest road. So For those reasons, I wouldn't pick 22, but there's not really a bad campsite here. So, I mean, this campground has the luxury of pretty much almost every site being high quality. So I don't know if you could even pick a site here that isn't going to be decent. So this review is splitting hairs. It's kind of trying to separate the creme de la creme. But this is not like a bad campground. So I think that even some of the ones I'm saying I wouldn't do are still high quality that if I had to do, I would probably still really enjoy. So for what it's worth. There are some campgrounds that genuinely aren't very good. This is not one of those. I think Camp Creek is pretty top tier, actually. So here is site 23. Got a couple picnic tables, fire pit. I do believe it's a single from my research at recreation.gov, but there are 2 picnic tables. Here's your parking. I will say you're kind of on the highway side. You get a lot of road noise right here because we're kind of almost back to the turnoff to even enter the campground. So very wide open, shaded right now in the morning, but in the afternoon I have a feeling this doesn't get good canopy cover. So shade will be an issue there. We've got our garbage turned over right now because we're not open for business, but we will be. Wastewater, no sewage. That is right in between 23 and 24. You do have a restroom right here. And here's 24. I don't like how open it is. This is the campground road, and you got a picnic table right over there, line of sight. 24 here. You've got your picnic table, fire pit, nice long driveway. You're kind of right in the center of the campground on the inner, away from Camp Creek, so I would not personally do 24. Here is site 25. Your exit is that way. And here's your parking. Pretty unbelievable stone fireplace. Look at that thing. That's epic. You got your picnic table. Pretty good little swath of forest. This is an inner, kind of close to the exit, not on Camp Creek, so I wouldn't pick this one personally. But I gotta say, I'm pretty blown away by this fireplace. I mean, this is epic. Look at that. That is legit, my friend. So that's cool. Imagine, walk over here. Imagine sitting at this picnic table and having a roaring fire there. That's kind of world class. That's not something you normally expect when you're at a campground. So I'm blown away by the stone fireplace. This is site 25. It's right on the edge, right across from the camp host, right near the exit. So I probably wouldn't take it because I'd rather be on the creek side, Camp Creek. But still, even their lower quality inner sites are still amazing. I'm really blown away by Camp Creek. Okay, so I just finished my walkthrough of the 25 sites here at Camp Creek. I gotta say, overall, I am blown away. This campground's a lot higher quality than I was necessarily expecting. Not that I had low expectations, I didn't really have an expectation, but I'm pretty blown away by it. It's old growth, rainforest style wonderland, a lot of spacious lot lines, really privacy lines for the most part, considered in the way they crafted and designed this campground. So I didn't have an expectation coming in, and I am leaving a fan. I think Camp Creek is absolutely gorgeous. And again, this rainforest style, mossy, old growth wonderland is pretty amazing. I kind of felt like I was transported into another world. You know, I think Olympic National Forest up in Washington is truly epic, but sometimes you can feel like you're getting little slices of it down here in Oregon in the Mount Hood area. So this campground definitely has that kind of a feel to me. So I would say, as far as the best campsites, I don't have a ranking. I can tell you, I'll have to review and think about it, but I think the top 5 in no order are 8, 9, 10, 14, and 18. I would go for one of those 5. I typically create a video of the top 5 ranking, so once I review the video and think about it, I'm sure I'll have a top 5 ranking of the top 5 sites. I will also do a top group side-by-side situation if you're trying to book multiple campsites as a group, which ones I would recommend. So I will come out with those videos, and beyond that, gotta say, I highly recommend Camp Creek Campground.